Jared, how we
Ryan, it's good
doing?
to see you again, man. It's good to see you. It's good to be back. It's good to be back under these circumstances. Like I feel like I earned this because like my buddy Clem, who's still at Barstool, he's a
Yeah.
huge Mets guy. I only bring him on the show when something bad happens to the Mets. So I feel like this is fair. This is absolutely fair.
Yeah. I was laughing my ass off, not at that you guys are dealing with the Bregman sign with the Cubs for $10 million more, and that they're trying to work out what the no trade clause and all of that. But also that people were saying, well, Jared, you're just fanboying. You're not holding people accountable. And I think you found an exact quote or tweet holding ownership accountable. So let's just start from the top here. What is going on in Boston right now? Out of the entire AL East, I think the most questions are surrounding what the Red Sox are going to do next, and actually maybe the New York Yankees.
Yeah, it's the $1 million question right now. What are the Red Sox going to do next? And I'd love to be able to sit here and say, oh, well, I know what their plans are. They're planning on doing this. They don't know what they're going to do next because they thought they were going to sign Alex Bregman. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought it was so annoying. Obviously, I was upset that Bregman went to the Cubs. I think I was probably the most upset when the reports came out that the Red Sox were like, we actually preferred Bo Bichette. Like, we didn't even want Bregman. It's like, yeah, you did. You did want Alex Bregman. The issue here is that, and I tweeted about this morning. They think that there's still a draw to just playing for the Red Sox. There's not. They haven't yet realized that you're going to have to be the top bidder to get or keep, in this case, a player. Like, there's no more, Kurt Schilling being like, you know what, I want to be a part of this. Keith Falk being like, all right, I'll take less money because I want to be a part of that. A part of what? What is there to be a part of right now? A part of vying for third place in the American League East and potentially winning 90 games and missing the playoffs? Like, that's what you think Alex Bregman or players of the same ilk are going to take less money to be a part of? It's not 2004 anymore. It's 2026. You're going to have to pay up if you want the player.
Yes, you are going to have to pay up. Now, I will say, you guys did pony up last year, the Red Sox, traded for Crochet. Then you signed him. That was great. I think the part that stings the nostrils here is Ron Burgundy would say, trading Devers, keeping Bregman, losing Bregman. That's, I think, the other part that's sitting here with fans of, look, we're not going to say that Rafi was a defensive specialist because that was not the case. But as far as being a top 10 bat throughout baseball, dude could swing it. So you thought, all right, you're moving on from him. You need to have a stable force. So I got to ask you then, Jared, if they're done with Bregman, it's gone, it's over. There's still a giant hole in this lineup. And I still believe Boston, and I still think New York, their pitching staff to me is still the one. Starting rotation, Cole's healthy. They're going to be good. They need to figure out Bellinger, what's going to happen there. But is the Red Sox next move really going for Bichette, or do you think that that's not going to happen given the other reports that, Bo's got some other high suitors with some organizations that seem really in on him?
So I think the Red Sox have offers out to Bo Bichette. I have no reason to believe that he's going to look at those and say, yeah, these are better than what New York is putting on the table, what Philly's putting on the table. I have no reason to believe that. And maybe there's going to come a day in the coming weeks here where, they shut me up and they're like, actually, we were so embarrassed by the Bregman situation that we just kind of put the best offer on the table and said, take it or leave it. And he ended up taking it because Philly signed Schwarber. And New York, I think that they're really focused on bringing back Cody Bellinger. I think that that's a priority for them. So it's like, yeah, like Bo Bichette at the start of the offseason clearly was not the Red Sox top priority, but he is now. I think if you're the Yankees, you're kind of focused on Cody Bellinger. So can you be as aggressive on the Bo Bichette front at the same time? Maybe. I think that there's going to be a lot of luck involved if the Red Sox end up with Bo Bichette in free agency. And if and when he signs elsewhere, like a Philly, because I think that they're, focused on him at this point. I don't know what you do because now you're seeing the reports of well, the Red Sox are going to get creative. They might pivot to run prevention. They might look at the pitching market. You do know that you can only have 5 starters in a rotation. Like who are you bumping out of that rotation? Like you already traded for Oviedo. You love Connolly early. You wouldn't give him up in a Marte trade. You've got Bayo. You've got Crochet. And you traded for Sonny Gray. There's your rotation. You're gonna go out there and sign Framber Valdez for what? You're gonna go with a 6-man rotation. So it makes no sense to me what the new plan is. If the new plan is to look at the rotation, you kind of already like set your rotation. And if it's not to be aggressive on the Bo Bichette front, well, Mike Hazen said we're not trading Ketel Marte. What are you gonna do? You're gonna trade for Alec Boehm? Is that the grand plan now? You're going to trade for Alec Boehm? And I've actually heard that being floated a little bit. I was talking to Harold Reynolds the other day on MLB Network. He threw that idea out there. I was like, man, if that's the pivot, I don't know that I can be at opening day. People are going to be really mad, and I don't think I want to be a part of that.
It's really interesting how you guys are pissed off with how things are run. And then if you go to Baltimore last year or over the years, people have been very mad, and still people are dissatisfied that the Orioles haven't signed another starter, which, Jared, I hate to tell you, I think that they will.
I think that's coming, yeah.
I think it's happening, and it needs to happen. Like from a rotation standpoint, Baltimore needs it. Like if we're looking at this AL East conversation, the Yankees need Bellinger. I mean, I don't see them getting Tucker, right? Belly looks like their guy. It makes the most sense, comfortability. Get that marriage to work, get that contract, the years down, whammy, that's it. Mark Shapiro and the Blue Jays and the whole staff up there, they're saying, screw it, we're going to spend money. And they might make one move. I'm not surprised if they do or don't. But then Boston's really the one team that you're looking at where I can't say for certain that you guys are going to get somebody else. I feel that way in Baltimore. I feel that way in New York. Tampa's Tampa, right? Like Seti Mullen's going to go down there. Seti's a good friend. Like I could see Seti playing well and then getting moved at the deadline, 1-year deal. They have a certain structure. Yeah, I'm really trying to see what this is going to play out. I still think Boston's – I mean, you guys are still competitive right now. The Yankees are still the favorites to win the AL East, which I don't know if I'm going to put my money on that.
No.
But the AL East to this point, Jared, they're not done the rest of this offseason. I mean, hell, spring training's in a month.
Yeah.
And – there's a lot of good names out there. If the ones that we haven't mentioned, what are names that you're eyeing then? You mentioned Boehm as being thrown out there. Is it the other Suarez, the third baseman? Is that one that you would think, or is there anyone that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it wouldn't shock me at all if that's where the Red Sox go with this, especially with a lockout looming in 2027. If the Red Sox were like, hey, because they talked such a big game at the beginning of the offseason about a number 2 in a middle of the order bat and this and that. And it's like, okay, so we were thinking, all right, so Joe Ryan, because you guys were aggressive for Joe Ryan at the trade deadline. So, all right, let's pick back up where we left off there. Middle of the order bat. Obviously, we want a right-hander. Tristan Costas can start the year at Worcester. So that sounds like Pete Alonso. That'd be great. And then you'll bring back Alex Bregman. So we went from Joe Ryan, Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman to 1 year of Sonny Gray, 1 year of Wilson Contreras, and now potentially 1 year of Eugenio Suarez as your Alex Bregman replacement at third base. What a dud offseason that would be. And that's not to say that the Red Sox wouldn't be a good team in 2026. I still think, let's say hypothetically Suarez is your third baseman for 2026. The Red Sox could win 90-something games, like 90 on the dot, high 80s, low 90s, somewhere in there, and win the wild card or get a wild card spot. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So by default, it's like, yeah, have you constructed potential playoff team? Sure, you have. But for what you set the bar at, you fell very short of what the expectations were after the World Series.
Certainly have. And I think the part still in the National League, we know who the favorites are going to be to start the year. It's going to be the Dodgers. Phillies, I still think, are going to make noise. But in the American League, I know that there's a betting favorite, but you could throw out to me, pick your favorite team in the American League, and I would believe you. I'd say, okay, make a good point. however their offseason went, that's who could be the favorite, because I just think that that's how wide open it is. I think the American League East will be a gauntlet, but there's nothing surprising me that Boston, Toronto, Baltimore, New York could win the division. No knock to Tampa. I do think there's a little bit of reservation there, but everyone else, you make the case. Zach, do you got a question for Jared real quick?
Yeah, real fast, Jared. Obviously, we just talked about disappointing offseason when you talk about expectations going in, but you also mentioned, at this moment with the young core, you guys, it's still Boston. If you tell me, yeah, they win 90 games, I'd be like, yeah, look at that team. Or at least your expectations for guys like Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, for them to take that next step? And do you think, okay, if we're not going to sign a big name guy, is this season almost more focused on, hey, let's make sure they're taking that step and unfortunately going more development wise than you are, hey, this is a year we're going all in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, because I think last year was that, and I think it can be similarly this year as well. You look at last year, Marcelo Meyer made his debut, Roman Anthony made his debut, but they kind of got lucky in that they took steps forward. Like Roman, he got called up a little bit late, but then at the end of the year he got hurt with the oblique. So if you extrapolate his season out, it's a 7-win season. That's a superstar player, and you have to figure at 21 going into his now age 22 season. Yeah, that's a situation where could he be better? He should be better. Yeah, I think so. So yes, I'm looking more so at a guy like Marcelo Meyer, who needs to hit lefties if you're going to be an everyday player, because second base is still open, third base is open. They need somebody, obviously, to fill one of those positions from an everyday basis, but Meyer's going to get his opportunities. He's going to be able to play in the infield, but he didn't really get the opportunity to hit lefties at any level, and he hasn't really proven that he can stay healthy for north of 100 games. So that's going to be a big test for him specifically. And then the name that never really gets mentioned anymore is Christian Campbell. He made the opening day roster as a second baseman last year, had a really great April, had an awful May, and then we never saw him again. And the defense was atrocious. They they're labeling him now as an outfielder. Well, guess what? You already have a logjam out there. So how is he going to get his reps out there? So that's, in terms of the top prospect guys, Roman Anthony, can't wait. Marcelo Meyer, we'll see. Christian Campbell, what do you do? Where do you create a spot for that guy? So yeah, we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, and real fast, I like that you brought up, because I was just going to ask you. It felt like at the beginning of the offseason, you just talked about kind of the outfield logjam in Boston. It almost felt certain that, hey, someone's getting traded here in this outfield, whether it's, Abreu for a bigger guy, maybe it's Duran. It just felt like every rumor, it was, well, the Red Sox have to trade an outfielder, so let's plug them into this mock trade. Do you still think that happens, or do you think that they are probably set at outfield and they might just go forward with, hey, we have more talent than we have spots, but that's not the worst position to be in?
I think that they were probably a little surprised that they weren't able to pull off a Jarren Duran trade, but they set such a high bar. Like if you're Craig Breslow, and you're kind of dangling Jarren Duran out there saying it's Cole Reagans or no deal, they were, his standout all-star MVP year in 2024, that's how they were shopping him around to other teams. Like, this is a 9-win player. And it's like, well, is he? I mean, he's still a pretty damn good player. Like, he could be a 5-6 win player, but they're shopping him as like, this is a 9-win player. And teams are like, I don't know about that. So it's not really surprising to me that he's still here. Whether or not they'll still move him, like, now that Bregman's not coming back, and again, I have zero confidence that they'll sign Bo Bichette. Do you really want to make your lineup even weaker when you know that Bregman's not coming back and Bo Bichette's not walking through that door? I figured they'll probably try to do what they did at the end of last season once they did have Roman Anthony, and shuffle guys through. And some days you'll have Duran DH, and he'll sit against lefties because he can't hit him, but neither can Willie Abreu. So it's like, you've got 3 dudes that you're depending on as everyday players who can't hit lefties. Not a great spot to be in. That's what's really frustrating is the Red Sox had all winter to address these problems, and we are less than a month away from pitchers and catchers, and all the problems that we went into the offseason with are there, plus you've now added problems. You've added problems because we haven't even mentioned the name Masataka Yoshida. Yeah. That's a guy that Craig Breslow is like, well, we need to open up the DH spot so that, if we want to rotate guys through there. And Yoshida's just he can't play any defensive position. He doesn't have any pop. He doesn't strike out a lot. He gets on base, but he's not the prototypical DH type. They haven't addressed that either. So, yeah, a lot of problems here.
You're not the only team that has problems here, Jared. So don't worry about that. And a lot of things you want to see what the narratives are going to be from what they have been. So you mentioned all the names, only so many spots on the field. Where are they all going to fit in? In Baltimore, them signing Pete Alonso is kind of changing a philosophy, which is Pete plays every day. He needs to be in your lineup. The Orioles like to rotate position guys. They also traded for Taylor Ward, a guy that plays 150-plus games. You're not platooning that guy. So it's really interesting to hear you talk about the dynamics with the Sox, because in Baltimore, they have some decisions to make. They have some decisions on who are we committing to be the everydays. And there's the ones that are out there in Baltimore, the Gunners, Jordan Westberg. How are you going to handle, though, your catching situation with Adley Rutschman, Sam Basayo, with Pete Alonso? By the way, you have 2 other first basemen on your roster with Kobe Mayo and Ryan Mountcastle, and a crowded outfield room as it is. But one thing that I wanted to just touch on, or to emphasize, you mentioned Duran's an all-star player, talented player. Faced him in the minors, I think it was in Double-A, before he kind of really took off. He's got the talent, but the part of where teams are, you got to make a choice on what you think the value is, and is the value too high? And if it's not being reached, do you sell low? Because Baltimore has that circumstance right now where their prospects were probably at an all-time high, and now the value's dropped a little bit, and they're not getting what they were hoping for. I know for a fact if they wanted Crochet last year, their prospects could have gotten them Crochet. Boston did. So right now, I don't know who the prospects of the Orioles that they could trade to make it worth what they were getting back. And I think Boston's in that similar situation. So to finish this out, there are 5 big names out there. Framber, Ranger, let's go Cody, Cody, Tucker, and Bichette. Curious in your mind, how many of those 5 you think end up at the AL East?
I think Baltimore gets Ranger. Yeah, I think Framber goes to the Mets.
Yep.
I think Tucker. I saw the report today about the short-term money, $50 million a year for the Mets, but I don't know. Wouldn't you want the years? I feel like Toronto would go big for both. Maybe it's not $50 million a year, but I feel like they would give years and dollars. So I still feel like in my gut that Tucker is a J. Bo feels like a Philly to me, and I think the Yankees and Bellinger figure it out. I think there's probably other, because of his versatility. He can play the outfield, he can play first base, and there's teams with money that need to address those positions. I feel like if he wanted to go elsewhere, he would have by now. And if you're Cody, isn't it interesting how, his Dodger years, he had the MVP, but then, I believe he got either DFA'd or non-tendered at the end there, and has this renaissance with the Cubs, but all the under the hood numbers weren't so good. But then he goes to the Yankees, and it's like, well, you'd be smart to stay here because this ballpark is perfect for you. So I think the Yankees know we need Bellinger, and I think Bellinger knows I kind of need the Yankees. So if they're going to wait it out, they'll figure it out. So how many is that in the AL East? That's 3. Ranger, Tucker, Bellinger.
Yeah. And I'm with you to start with the pitching side. I know Baltimore fans have been on watch. Jared, there was an eye emoji that I had out, which everyone always thinks if I tweet something, it's going to be about the Baltimore Orioles, which probably when you tweet some things out, people are always curious. I will say I would be shocked if the Orioles don't walk away with one of Framber or Ranger. I still think it's Ranger over Framber. I think the Mets are going to be aggressive with Framber, and that's it. But I would agree with you on that. And people also forget with the players you bring it up, I wouldn't want to mess with a thing I know that works. So if you're worried about figuring out a few $1 million for Belly and vice versa, it works. It's no guarantee it's going to work elsewhere. And Mark Shapiro up there, I talked to him last year when the season started, Jared, and he's the president of operations over there. And Mark was just saying, we're a big market. We're going to spend. And that was before they did the extension for Vlad. And then we're seeing everything that's transpired over the last year of them being a World Series contender, out away, inning away, play away from winning the World Series to now they're just dumping money to whoever wants it. So,
and they were in on Soto, they were in on Shohei, even though they didn't get there, they were still finalists. If that's, any consolation to them.
Yeah, and that's what Mark said. He goes, we're proving to people that we mean business. So I'm excited. Hey, I hope for your sake and for your mental health, Jared, that Sox figure it out.
Same.
But I know probably people always know where to find you. Where can they find you if they don't know where to look?
The podcast is Baseball is Dead. Me, Dallas Braden, Justin Havens, former researcher for Baseball Tonight on ESPN. He's the brainiac of the operation, and Section 10 is my Red Sox podcast. Check us out.
And you're on X. I see you pop up on MLB Network now, looking good.
Yeah, doing some MLB Network stuff. Got to chop it up with Matty V and Harold Reynolds yesterday. It's just, I expect it and I appreciate it. Like if something happens with the Red Sox, it's like, man, I know I'm about to get a text message to pop on. And it's like, one of these days we're going to have something nice to talk about. We're going to have something good and that we can celebrate. That'll be fun.
One day. And you know what? When the Orioles make their signing and the Red Sox will sign somebody, I'll shoot you a little encouragement text. Might not be who you want, but
yeah, I'll take anybody. Give me a live body that can help.
Oh man, hey Jared, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, and I'll catch up with you later on, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Sounds good. Good to see you, Ryan.